This is a video that I wanted to make for a while now. I really want to make this vid because a lot of people really want to point the narrative of this particular player. We all know how narratives can really define a player's career. But this is one of these instances where people will build up a narrative that is all based on a lie, and people want it to be known throughout the NBA community. And in this particular video, we are covering none other than the answer himself, Allen Iverson. In this video, I'm going to break down the biggest misconception and biggest lie in Allen Iverson's career, and I want to put this narrative to sleep. Hey man, say man. This is the A-Man Show, back at it again for more banger content. Make sure y'all subscribe. I post NBA and NFL content. Turn on post notifications so that way y'all stay tuned for more content I put out. Anyways, stay tuned and let's get this video started. So Allen Iverson, as we all know, is a Philly legend, arguably the greatest pound-for-pound player in history and had influenced the game of basketball forever. His swaggy alpha personality, as it portrays by his looks and the way he carries himself on and off the court, has really influenced players to wear their own style, clothing, rather than following the NBA protocol dress code, as a means of wearing a suit and a tie. But going back to Iverson, of course Iverson was an extremely skilled scorer who can score from anywhere from the court. Most particularly, his expertise in that area is his ability to handle the basketball at an extraordinary level. And in fact, his ball handling skills was so lethal and devastating that many consider him as the best ball handler in history, even though in my opinion is Kyrie Irving. But anyways, the man throughout his 9 memorable seasons with the Sixers from 97 to 06 was a 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-NBA, 3 of which he made first team, and also during that span has been a 4-time scoring champ, specifically one season in 01 where he won his one and only MVP, even though it was controversial, but still worthy of the MVP that year, and averaged 31 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 42, 32, 81 splits. Iverson had a carry job performance throughout the playoffs that year when he averaged 33 points per game, even though he shot 39% from the field. But you still cannot brush off that Iverson went crazy and has done it with virtually no offensive help on the court in the playoffs. Even though he played against an Eastern Conference that is the weakest in NBA history, but like I said, you cannot brush off the playoff run that Iverson had done. Most especially take Game 1 of the NBA Finals against the Shaq and Kobe-led Lakers that before then went on a 12-game winning streak in the playoffs, literally sweeping every Western Conference team that they came across. And Allen Iverson put up a 48-point performance at the Lakers' home floor, and in the rest of that series averaged 36, 6, and 4 on 41, 28, 73 shooting splits. Although Iverson is a multiple-time scoring champion, although Iverson was a superstar and considered to be one of the top 3 players of his time, but nowadays people are discounting Iverson as a player, most specifically his scoring ability. Many people rank Iverson lower in the all-time ranking list and think he is overrated, all because of his scoring inefficiency. And that's the point I'm trying to make in this video. A lot of people in the NBA community merely look at field goal percentage as the means to show why he's inefficient, even though field goal percentage gives us a general sense of how efficient a player is in terms of scoring the basketball. Is not the end-all be-all in terms of how truly efficient a particular player is, nor does it tell the full story. How I look at players who are truly efficient or not is by true shooting. Yes, true shooting percentage, and it's calculated by field goal percentage, 3-point shooting, and free throw percentage. And in the majority of his career, Iverson had a borderline league average true shooting while averaging absurd scoring numbers. And judging the fact that this man played in the era where NBA defenses are the best it's ever been, an era where the league average and total points per game were 90 points, and also the guy has played subpar offensive talent. For instance, Larry Hughes, Eric Snow, a very old Dikembe Mutombo, and Aaron McKee. Those are the guys that Iverson had to roll with, along with the limited spacing that Iverson had to work with. The fact that Iverson averaged these numbers on league average true shooting with no spacing, and most especially done this with a subpar offensive unit, really goes to show you that Iverson is indeed one of, if not the greatest pound-for-pound scorer of all time. And what makes it even greater, Isaiah Thomas, John Havlicek, and Jerry West, all revered as one of the greatest players of their generation. Their career true shooting percentage is short to Iverson's, and many people want to claim that Allen Iverson is extremely inefficient, and it's really amazing how uneducated people are when making this narrative. And I know that people are going to mention his playoff career and, oh, look at his playoff career. Like I said, Iverson never had another player that can actually take off the load when the Sixers were making the playoffs. And also mentioning how good defenses were back then, and also the limited spacing. Not to mention during the playoffs, this is when defenses are now really keen into guys and more intense than in the regular season. Of course, Allen Iverson shot below 40% from the field in the playoffs. He never had the help to take off the load from him. At least he averaged the same numbers in the regular season rather than a guy who is not only less efficient, but scores less points in the playoffs. Let's look at 2015 Bron. We all knew that Bron didn't have Kyrie nor K-Love and still took the Warriors to 6 games despite him shooting below 40% from the field. If we're going to give LeBron this treatment, why can't we do the same with Iverson, especially never having the adequate pieces around him to compete for championships throughout the majority of his Sixers years? I can make the argument that Iverson's prime tenure with the Sixers were wasted because the front office never done a good job at giving him offensive pieces for him to succeed. Although they had a really solid defense with an older Dikembe Mutombo and an Eric Snow, but aside from Iverson, none of these guys on the roster can create offense. Now Iverson, after his first stint with the Sixers, was traded to the Denver Nuggets in exchange for Andre Miller, Joe Smith, and 2 first-round draft picks. He was now paired with another superstar player in Carmelo Anthony, a guy who is an elite ISO scorer paired with another elite ISO scorer in Iverson. Iverson will have one of the most efficient seasons of his career. In 50 games with the Nuggets in 2007, he averaged 25 points per game, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, shooting 45, 35, 76 splits. Although Iverson was playing the most efficient basketball of his career, he only improved this team by 1 win, but they still won 45 games and made the 6th seed in the tough West. But in the first round, they were bounced in 5 games by the 3rd seeded Spurs. That is something that you can actually criticize Iverson for. Iverson had the best roster of his career, had the most efficient season of his career with the Denver Nuggets, but in the first round, Iverson decreased his scoring numbers from 25 to 23 points and decreased his efficiency to 45 to a whopping 37% from the field, and true shooting wise, has a 45% true shooting percentage in the first round of that year. The next year, Iverson will put up similar stats as last year and will play 82 games, and the Nuggets will win 5 more games in 2008, winning 50 games but only made the 8th seed. Go to show you how crazy the Western Conference was back then. But the Nuggets in the first round got swept by the Kobe-led Lakers. The issue between Iverson and Melo is that they were too ISO heavy. Iverson's playstyle causes the offense to be very stagnant, and even with the 7 assists, the guy wasn't really getting his teammates involved in the offense. And also his defense was also questionable, as well as having a big ass ego. Looking back at the duo of Anthony and Iverson, it wasn't going to work out because they both had big egos, too ISO heavy, not sufficient playmakers, and defensive liabilities. And so because of that, the Nuggets decided to trade Iverson to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Chauncey Billups, who is a proven winner and a guy who can actually make his teammates better. And so Iverson's career went on to die in the next few years before retiring in 2013. Looking back at Iverson's career, a lot of people really make this claim that Iverson was never that great of a scorer because of his inefficiency earlier in the video, and even when he was inefficient in the playoffs. Excluding Denver, the guy never had a guy who can be a legit second scoring option and take the load off of Iverson. And also Iverson is 6 feet. I'm taller than him by 2 inches. You know how hard it is to be like league average from the field and overall true shooting wise if you're 6 feet in one of the most dominant defensive eras in history, as well as no spacing. The fact that this man led the league in points per game 4 times on league average true shooting percentage without a true second option, no spacing, and as well as going up against some of the greatest defenses in NBA history, goes to show you that Iverson is indeed the greatest pound for pound scorer in history. So guys, show some more respect for Iverson. Although he may not be as good as Harden nor Jerry West or Wade as far as all-time ranking goes, although that stint in Denver has hurt his legacy a bit, but the guy really got fucked over, by the Sixers front office for not even giving him a real competent roster in those years. And even with Carmelo Anthony at Denver, we all know deep down that this duo is not going to win a championship together and they don't even fit. The guy has to constantly carry this lowly team to the playoffs for the majority of his prime years, and y'all have the nerve to say that Iverson is extremely inefficient? Man, I hope God humbles you. I hope everybody can disband this narrative and actually give AI the respect that he deserves, especially being the greatest pound for pound scorer of all time. And that's the video. What are your thoughts about this vid? Do you think that Allen Iverson is one of the most disrespected legends ever? Let me know in the comment section below, and make sure y'all subscribe for more NBA and NFL content. Turn on post notifications, and that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show. Sign out.